live. Okay, and we're live. We're just getting AJ setting up there, and
really
we're
live?
shopping up the grain.
Shopping?
We're episode 69. Episode 69.
It's your
Lucky
favorite number,
69.
huh, Kenny?
Yes, sure.
All right, so we're really live?
We're live. You go.
One of the reasons I like doing the other technology better that I did this afternoon with Kathy Hester is because the people are already waiting there for me when I come on, so I know they can see and hear. But with the regular Facebook Live, not the Be Live, we always seem to have to ask them. So, are they there?
Cheryl says hi.
Hi.
So,
Well,
she's
if
not.
they can't see and they can't hear, they usually tell
But we're
us.
just getting started. So today we're gonna make some good stuff. I'm
Yeah.
excited because I'm hungry.
I know. Well, so, I feel bad because Kenny always seems to come on an episode.
Okay, they can see and hear you.
Right,
Ross
thank
says
you
hello.
guys. And Kenny always seems to come on an episode where it's not pizza and it's not strata, and I feel bad. So I wanted to make something really special because a lot of people are saying, well, what kind of dessert can I make for Easter or Passover? So I'm going to show you one that actually can be used for both.
And it's
because
kosher Passover.
Well, it's
too.
kosher for Passover because,
See?
there's no flour in it. And
course.
you can use nuts for Passover, right, Ken?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
my understanding. So, first of all, let me welcome you to episode 69 of Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ, the creator of the Ultimate Weight Loss Program, and this is where I answer your questions about healthy, permanent, and sustainable weight loss. And the best way to submit a question is through my website at www.eatunprocessed.com. And while you're there, be sure to sign up to be on my mailing list because very soon, in the next week for sure, maybe even the next few days, we're going to be sending out an email telling you that this book is finally going to be available on Amazon. And the good news is if you buy
The picture on the screen right now looks kind of like something like you could take a look at this little present for you.
Okay, thank you. I just had a birthday.
A little birthday present.
Let me just finish what I'm saying about if you buy it the day that we ask you to buy it, we're doing what's called a launch. You get like $50 worth of bonuses. You get a dessert cookbook that's not UWL, but I'll go into more detail about why I'm doing that I never released. It's actually, I used it for private clients that I was training to be pastry chefs. And you get the Audible version of the book. So, you want me to open my birthday present? Well, why are you getting this to me now? Weren't you at my birthday party like a long time ago?
I'm a little slow.
All right, that's okay. So thank you. Oh, it looks like it looks like it might be a picture of some kind. I love getting presents on the air. Oh, that's oh my God! I had a pretty good hair day that day. That is so funny because I actually don't have that shirt anymore. My friend Ellie has it. It's me holding my book, and it says "Vegan Girls Kick Ass." How did you do that? That's so cute.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you. This is
So
really.
it's coming.
This is really clever. Boy, my hair was short that day, and today it's really. Oh, thank you, Kenny.
So talking about the dessert thing you're giving, today will be one of those days that this may not be the most ultimate weight loss
Right.
day.
This is not an ultimate weight loss recipe, and I'm going to explain why I'm making it because it is still suitable for some people. Kenny, I don't know how often you watch the feed on the boards, but there's a lot of people that are relapsing and they are thinking that they can't stick with the program and they're going to quit. And what do they go back to when they quit, Kenny? What do they go back to? They don't necessarily go back to animal products. What do
Doritos?
Not the girls in our group so much. It's
Okay,
not so much
they go back
Doritos.
to the fat
Flour
flour
and sugar. They
Sugar.
go back to dessert. And so I've always said that it is much better to go back to doing these whole food, sugar-free, oil-free, flour-free, salt-free recipes that unprocessed than to go back to your Cinnabon. Now I taught you how to make a Cinnabon, actually. I think, maybe not in this show, but in one of my teleclasses. I would much rather see people eat whole foods, even nuts. Yes, nuts are not unhealthy. I'm going to go into more detail about where they can fit into your program, or dried fruit. Much rather see people eat those than to go back to sugar, flour, oil, ever. And so we're going to make this recipe, and I'm also going to tell you how to make it more UWL-friendly substitutions you can make. So if you want to cook along with me, I'm doing the recipe on page 62 of Unprocessed, the cherry cobbler. Yes. And it's actually Charles's favorite recipe. And pretty soon we're going to be doing all the recipes from the book, Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss, so I wanted to at least get this on video at some point because I realized I never made it. We always make it in my hands-on cooking classes. at the culinary school, and people really love it.
Maybe Kenny's favorite too.
It is. It's everybody's favorite. Well, you can't go wrong with cherries. So it's made in 3 parts. We're going to be making the filling. We're going to be making this, which is the cherry part. We're going to be making the streusel part, and we're going to be making the pear whipped cream, which is also in unprocessed. I'm not sure what page that is. Let's see. The cherry cobbler's on page 62, and the pear whipped cream is on page 72. So that's pretty cool. Bailey, I can't pick you up right now. Okay, so food processor fitted with the S blade because it looks a little bit like the letter S. Whenever you're processing something like nuts, like grains, you want to make sure it's completely dry, because if you don't, you're not going to get a dry crumbly thing. You're going to get like a pesto. And so it's really important that your food processor, your blender, when you're doing things like nuts or oats, this is falling
Now,
down.
just to make sure, we talked earlier, there's no questions today written. So I need to.
Oh no, there's questions. I have them
Okay,
right
you
here.
got new questions.
I printed them out right here, so I have them. So I want to finish the recipe first. So I pre-measured, again, if you want the exact measurements, page 62. I pre-measured my coconut, my pecans, which are raw, unsalted, and all of my various spices. And I put them in the food processor, fitted with the S blade, and I'm just going to pulse into a flour-like consistency. Dense as nuts are, I'd much rather have people eat that than flour. And we'll talk a little bit about why as we progress, because this is in terms of calorie density. Of course, flour is going to be better at 1,500 calories a pound versus 3,000, but not in terms of food addiction. So now we're going to add some dates, and the dates that I'm using today are really delicious organic dates from I Love Date Lady. If you go to their website, ilovedatelady.com, you can get 15% off with my name.
Wow.
The code is Chef AJ, no spaces, and I'm going to be interviewing this lady in a couple weeks on my other broadcast. So then I'm going to add the dates, make sure they're pitted, and I don't really measure because I'm looking more for a texture than an actual amount. There we go. That looks good. So what I'm looking for is sort of like a streusel. So kind of like this. I'm not looking for it to stick together like when I'm making pie crusts. I'm looking for it to be kind of a sprinkle like this. Does that make sense? Can you see the streusel raining?
I can see it.
And so this, by the way, right here with the spices, this can be a recipe. You can put this just a little sprinkle over fruit. It's delicious. And so if there's any left over, we keep it. And sometimes when Charles just has dessert, I'll cut up a pear and put some of this on it with some of the pear whipped cream. So I'm going to put this in the other container right now, and it's okay that my food processor has some of this in it because it's the same recipe. Now this recipe calls for the zest of a lemon, and a lemon, I forgot it, it's going to be fine without it. So what I'm going to do is I've separated my several pounds of cherries here. These are frozen defrosted organic cherries, and I've separated them. A quarter of the cherries are going to be used in the puree, and 3/4 of them are going to be used in the cherry cobbler. So I'm going to set these aside right now. And the dates that I'm using have been soaking in them to soften. So I'm going to put this in. And again, in this part, you don't even have to use dates if you don't want to. The cherries are sweet enough. I'm actually using half of what the recipe calls for. And if you want to lower the caloric density of this recipe, and I recently got a question how to substitute nuts in your book Unprocessed for somebody that's allergic, what you could do is you could use oats. It'd be perfectly fine. It'll come out great. And I'm going to process this.
When you say oats, you mean rolled oats, right?
Yeah, rolled oats. So we have a question about oats actually coming up. And so now what I'm going to do to thicken it is I'm going to add some chia seeds. And I'm not going to measure, well, I'll measure because you guys will probably want me to measure. So I'll just do a 1/4 cup. But the truth is when I cook, unless I'm actually baking a cake, which I don't think I've baked a cake in a really long time, I really don't measure. I just do. So let's get this a little bit thicker. Whoops, we made it out. Now this is going to thicken. And actually, this is how you would make like a chia jam. You just use chia seeds with fruit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump these cherries in this bigger bowl. And I'm going to take the puree and mix it in with the cherries like this. So there we go. This is going to thicken, by the way. The chia seeds, this is going to completely thicken. So, especially once we chill it. So now,
Someone said, sounded like a cherry pit was in there.
yeah, I think it was a date pit actually.
Okay.
So we're going to just set this aside for a moment, and we're going to make the pear whipped cream. So what I'm using is a whole jar of the pear halves from Trader Joe's, a 28-ounce jar, or actually 25-ounce jar. These are in white grape juice. You can certainly use fresh pears when I go teach at Rancho La Puerta in Mexico, which, by the way, I'll be there May 5th through 12th. There's still rooms left, and you could do 3 hands-on cooking classes with me. It's spectacular there. We use fresh pears, and we roast them because they're not always ripe. But I live next door to Trader Joe's. This is very convenient. I just strained it, and I reserved the 1 cup of juice. I'll use it to make Charles's oatmeal in the morning. So I'm just going to throw this in my blender. There we go. And if you don't have a Trader Joe's, and I like the jarred pears because I use these jars when I make barefoot salad dressing as gifts for friends. These jars, the label comes off. It's absolutely perfect. But you can always get in a can, even at your Kroger's, pear in its own juice, so it's not a problem.
I use that big jar to soak garbanzo beans.
Yep, and then I'm going to add my raw cashews, and I don't really measure, but it's about a third, you know, it's as few or as little as you want, or no cashews, actually. I've done this without it. I've even done this with white beans. A little bit of vanilla powder that Laurel gave me for my birthday. A little goes a long way. And now I'm going to blend.
Someone asked, is this a nut cream?
This is a pear whipped cream. This is really, really delicious. Okay, so now, what I like to do is I like to make it pink. So I take a little bit of the cherry stuff from over here, and I add it to my whipped cream, because then it makes a really beautiful pink.
So that's just pears and a few nuts and a little cherries. That's
And
making
vanilla.
cream.
The vanilla.
And vanilla.
Now, in the book, I had said,
Wow.
I said in my book, you could add some xanthan gum for thickening, but the truth is if you add enough of the nuts, it's going to be plenty thick. So it's really good. A lot of people make plant-based whipped creams out of coconut, which is really, really high in fat and high in saturated fat, but I think the pears just have an incredible flavor. So I added a little bit of the cherry to it, so we kind of have a cherry perry whipped cream. That I don't do in the book, and in the book I did not use chia seeds, but I found that really helped thicken it up. That's just so pretty like that. Okay, so now you don't have to turn the oven on. It's so great when you do raw desserts. If I was going to eat a dessert, I would rather eat a raw dessert made from nuts and dates than anything out of sugar and flour. And I do occasionally eat these when I'm at Rancho La Puerta and the students make them for me, or when I'm making them at True North for the holiday extravaganza. I figure if Dr. Goldhammer says these are okay, these are okay. But that doesn't mean every day for every meal. All right, so now I'm going to plate them. I don't have a lot of matching cups, so I'll just use the 4 I have, but I did this, I had a dinner party I had actually a few parties for my birthday, and this last one where we played my favorite game, Balderdash, that was more of a fancy one, so I plated these. So what I'm gonna do is in each of these pretty glasses, I'm gonna do a scoop of the cherry mixture, and again, the chia seeds will thicken. It just takes a little bit of chilling. So let's just get 1 layer of the cherry, or 2 layers, but we want to make like a nice stripe. And then we want to take the streusel and do a layer of that. Making that
We see this
big
closer?
mess. Okay. And then we want to take little bit of the whipped cream. I like doing it in layers, guys. That's the way I roll. And again, you don't have to color it pink like I did. I just think it's super pretty that way. Okay. All right. And then repeat. Now, Kenny, I'm going to make one for you that you can take home without having to take my glass home, you know? And you can eat it right here. You can eat it on the air because it's not crunchy. It won't make any sound. Again, ideally, you want to chill this filling first because then it will thicken. But I just wanted to show you how to plate it. And then we do a little bit more streusel. Anyway, these are amazing. And if you're getting ready to relapse because you missed dessert and are going to go have some sugar and flour, why not make one of the 40 dessert recipes from Unprocessed? And then we are going, if I had a little bit of fresh mint, that would be great on top. A lot of times what I like to do, and I'm going to do this now.
Let's go put a little kale on top instead.
Well, we could add kale to the whipped cream. So I like to just take a cherry and put one on top. But Kenny, I'm going to make yours in a bowl right now. Is that okay?
That's fine.
While you can eat it. So you can just see how absolutely beautiful these are. You can use a martini glass. If I could get in the refrigerator now, I would. But Charles loves these. So are people having anything to say? They seem so quiet.
Well, they are all saying how would this be perfect for Easter dessert?
Perfect for Easter, perfect
Mary Aguilar
for
says. Someone asked, is this a Blendtec? And I said, yes, that's a Blendtec.
I'm using the Blendtec today instead of the Vitamix just because that's what I
Switching
had
it
out.
up.
So, how if I make you one in this bowl, is it big enough, Kenny?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. So let's make Kenny a Kenny size one right now. So you can eat this, right, Kenny?
I can eat it.
All
It
right.
might hurt my teeth
So-
a little, but I'll be okay.
Oh, you'll be okay. So I'm going to make Kenny his own big portion for helping out in this nice big bowl.
I'll stick these in the fridge.
Oh, why don't I do it in a pretty bowl though? Even though something that you can see. Oh, great! Stick them in the fridge. Let me change because it's no fun if you can't see it. This dessert is just too pretty to not see. There we go. So let's get him his big portion because he's been a very good boy this week.
I've been a very good boy.
Okay, and he just went to the dentist, so, and you see that I have a little bit left over of the streusel. That's okay. I'll use it. And I'll refrigerate it. I can use it for many things. So let's get you some whipped cream. And you can eat it on the air and tell people how good it is.
Oh
there
my
we
gosh,
go.
I can't
Well,
wait.
I clean up. So that's a Kenny portion. There you go. And I will push this aside. So any questions about anything before I get on to the
Page
questions
62.
that were page 62 and page 72 of Unprocessed. All
As
right.
Kimberly says, I'm so deprived eating this way.
Really?
I'm so deprived.
Who said that?
Kimberly.
Wait. What?
Marcus.
Wait, she's deprived eating what way? The UWL
Well,
way?
yeah, just maybe because I'm gonna eat this.
Yeah. Oh, you want a spoon? All right, you can eat it on air. So we're going to talk a little bit about deprivation, but Sharon had a question about cashews. See, and her question was
So good.
that she
so
put
good.
cashews in water to soak for a recipe. Forgot about them 4 days later. They are starting to dissolve in water, cloudy, still safe to use. Have a great day. Sharon, it's hard to say, but my philosophy is when in doubt, throw it out. And why would you have to soak cashews? The thing is, nuts like pine nuts and cashews, they are so soft and they don't have the enzyme inhibitor like the brown nuts, like the walnut, the pecan, Brazil nut. So why would you soak cashews? Because I'm confused. They are so soft. So I would probably throw them out because that sounds like a really long time. I mean, the first thing I would do is probably smell them and then maybe if you're brave enough, taste them. But I don't know how many you soak, but I would probably throw it out. All right. So any questions before I go on to the ones we have for today?
I'm gonna lose my job.
Why?
Everyone wants my job now.
Yeah, it's good. You get to eat. Well, Eden doesn't eat nuts. Eden follows the same. Well, Eden's in UWL, but she also follows Nina and Randa Nelson, the clear skin diet, which also does not include any nuts or gluten or soy. So Eden wouldn't have been able to eat this recipe anyway. So. Lori says, so by the way, last week, if you watched episode 68, I did it at 11 a.m. Pacific time instead of the usual time of 4 p.m. because I had to pick my sister up at the airport, and a lot of people said they like that time better. Maybe you can type in the box right now, what is your ideal time to watch Weight Loss Wednesday? And please realize that even if you can't watch it live, I always get it up on YouTube within 24 hours, sometimes within 24 minutes after the broadcast. That's about how long it takes me to download it. So this has turned out it's a little bit difficult for me to continue doing this time because I now go to school at night on Wednesday nights, and then I have to give Bailey the bum's rush, and she doesn't often get a walk, and so and since we're going to be doing more cooking, it might be easier earlier, but just let me know what you think. But we'll keep it on Wednesday because, after all, it is called Weight Loss Wednesday. Kenny is having a foodgasm right now.
Colleen asks, have you ever used aquafaba?
So I haven't, because I cannot eat legumes of any kind. I'm completely allergic and intolerant to all legumes. That includes lentils, beans, split peas, even green beans, sugar snap peas. So aquafaba came to be a thing after this in 2014. So I know it's great. If you watch today's episode of Healthy Living Live with Kathy Hester, she explains how you can use it in place of oil, actually. But that's a great way to make whipped cream, by the way. So Lori has a poop question, because last week we did talk poop, and she said, I started an SOS-free Whole Foods plant-based unprocessed diet. I've noticed my poop has gone from what's considered normal to loose. I poop 3 to 4 times before breakfast, and then again right after breakfast. What am I doing wrong? The good news is I'm losing weight, down 3 pounds in 2 weeks. Well, that means you're weighing yourself, so you didn't see yesterday's episode of Healthy Living Live with Dr. Lyle, who tells us not to weigh ourselves more than once a month. I don't know if
Jose.
Yeah, no way. That's what we did in February. Kenny pays attention to the group. So I don't think you're necessarily doing anything wrong. I mean, I don't think you're in UWL, but if you are, I'd like to know what you're exactly eating now and what you ate before. You know, they say normal is what's normal for you, but if you're only pooping, once, 2, 3 times a week, that's not normal. What normal really is to poop every time you eat. That is the most normal, or the best. There's something called the Bristol stool scale. Dr. Carrie Fisher talks about it a lot, and it rates it, I believe, from 1 to 7 on poop. And obviously, the harder it is, the worse it is for your health. Not to say that you should have, talking poop, when Kenny's eating cherry cobbler, liquidy diarrhea.
I hear nothing.
Yeah, but the thing is my understanding is the consistency of the stool has more to do with how long it's in the colon. So if it's in the colon a long time, it's going to be hard and dry, and if it's in the colon a short time, it's going to be softer, which actually I think is a good thing, because people that have to go and take, War and Peace into the bathroom to read it to poop, that's a problem. Your poop should be very quick and very easy. You shouldn't have to strain. So I don't know if you're necessarily doing anything wrong, but it could be the change in the diet. But again, I'm not a medical doctor, so the best thing you could do is get your free medical consultation with Dr. Ellen Goldhammer, and a possibly paid one for less than $100 with one of the True North medical doctors. They're really experts in GI health, but I don't necessarily think you're doing anything wrong. If you're in UWL, please post your food exactly, and maybe tell me what you were eating before. And if you're not in UWL, consider joining so I can give you more personalized attention. But pooping is good. That's how I got the beginning of colon cancer in 2003, because I was pooping like once a week at most. So pooping every day is good. If you really think you're pooping way too much, that has your GI motility has. That means you have, faster GI motility. There's foods that, like rice can. I don't want to say it's constipating, but it can help firm up things, especially white rice. Bananas often can help firm things up. But if you have a change in bowel habits, this is probably something you want to discuss with your doctor. So
We have 2 technical people asking, why is it blurry? And it doesn't look blurry here.
Yeah, the thing is a lot of times, guys, it's what device you're on.
And I put the blurry, I pushed it so it goes right to your head, but it shouldn't be blurry at all.
I'm looking, it doesn't look blurry. So anyway, hopefully it won't stay blurry. But does it look blurry on your phone, Kenny?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So sometimes it's your device, guys. Sometimes. So Jeanette wants to know what I spent for the week. So I can't answer that, Jeanette, because I don't know. I mean, I could start paying attention, and the reason I don't know is, well, for example, like if I go to a store like Costco, I don't always just buy groceries. Costco's a great store. If I see a cute top, I'll buy that. I buy my toilet paper there. I buy my paper towels there. I buy, my cruelty-free vegan hair products there. I sometimes buy magazines there. So the thing is I get a I can say I spend $100 a week there, but it's not always just food. So I'll start to pay attention
Well,
to that.
also you make stuff for everybody else. And
Right,
it's hard
that's the other thing, Jeanette. I'm always making food for people, for friends. I have a lot of friends that are, a couple of friends right now that had surgery. So when you're saying how much do I spend for the week, that number's not going to help you because it's not just what I eat or what just me and Charles eats, if that makes sense. When Gustavo was here, we shot some videos at the 99-cent store in Walmart to show how cheap it actually is to eat this way, and a lot of it was organic. I mean, at the 99-cent store, you can get 2 pounds of vegetables for 99 cents. The reason I hesitate to do that is because a while back I posted my Costco shopping cart on my Facebook page, not in anybody else's group, and I was very proud at how much food I got. I lined it all up on the couch and I said, look at all this food I got for $100. And people, specifically people in the McDougal groups that hate me for whatever reason, were just bashing me. Well, I could never afford to, feed my family that. Well, I mean, 20-pound bag of potatoes at Costco is what, like, I don't know, $10 even? No, $6? It's ridiculously cheap. But the point is you can eat healthfully, you can eat UWL is efficiently and inexpensively as you want if you're willing to not do 100% organic. If you buy your food at places like Walmart and the 99-cent store that often do have organics, like I said, 2-pound bags of frozen vegetables for 99 cents. So I don't know, but that's a good question. I don't worry about it because I don't need to spend money on seeing doctors or taking medications. I mean, I am on thyroid medicine, but that's not because of this, and that's, I don't know, it's $5 a month. I think it's the most affordable, $10 a month. It's one of those medications that just, it's not expensive, and your insurance company doesn't penalize you if you're on it like they do like psychiatric meds and things like that. So I don't know, but it's to me, there's an old saying, pay the grocer or pay the doctor, and I'm very happy paying Whole Foods and Costco and Trader Joe's for all the delicious organic food I buy. I don't spend a lot of money on clothes, especially because you guys need like a t-shirt a week. I don't have to, and the travel I do is not for fun. It's paid for by the people that are hiring me. I don't really like to travel, so don't have a lot of expenses that way. We drive our cars, Toyotas, till they're 20 years old, so I don't worry about it, and that's where probably the one area I don't worry about how much I spend. But I'll start paying attention. I'll try to let you know. I will tell you, though, that people that don't join Costco, it's really a mistake. Sharon McCrae almost didn't join, and now she loves it. I buy most of my organic vegetables there, my organic fruits and vegetables there. And I had a visitor, so I was off as far as how much I needed, and I was out of zucchini, and instead of going to Costco, I was taking a walk by a store called Gelson's, which is a beautiful store. And for the amount of zucchini that it would cost me $6 at Costco, guess what it cost at Gelson's? Same amount.
16?
10. So almost double. So,
Plus gas is a great deal there too.
Right, well, yeah, Kenny loves to get gas. Costco's great. I can't say enough good things about it. So, good. All right.
Where do you get your Hannah yams from?
So I get them a couple of different places. I get them at Whole Foods. They have them organic there. And if I'm in a pinch and don't care so much about organic, like because I'm making the strata and I'm not using the skin or eating the skin, I get them right next door at a mom and pop fruit and vegetable store called Farm Boy. But they always, at least I've seen them always at the Latino markets and the Asian markets. So all the ethnic markets seem to have the Japanese sweet potatoes and the Hannah yams all year round.
I like the Japanese ones.
Yeah, I don't care for the orange ones. They're just, I use them when I'm making the starch cookies or the butterscotch pudding, but as far as eating, unless it's fries, don't care for them.
Julie says she lives at Costco, and I think, this is a better place to live. You should find out. You get a house.
Well, they have great employee satisfaction, too. It's always a pleasure to go there. I really like it. And when I buy clothes, that's usually where I buy my clothes. Great stuff. Okay, so Claudia wants to know, she says that you have said that people in general tend to find their favorite foods and stick to those foods. I have found that I really love eating steamed rainbow carrots. I love the rainbow ones too, especially the yellow and the purple. Sometimes 2 pounds a day. You're a lightweight. I eat about 4 to 6. Not enough carrots, but if not starchy vegetables. 2 baked Japanese sweet potatoes. How big are they? Because that doesn't sound like enough. Oat groats made with almond milk in your chili recipes. I'm wondering whether eating pretty much the same things every day, I may be missing out on some nutrients. So if you listen to the episode of Healthy Living Live last week with Dr. Goldhammer, we touched on this. The answer is I don't know. Diversity is great, both in terms of people and food. But if eating the same thing or roughly the same thing every day is keeping you on track and healthy, I'd rather see somebody do that than strive to get some kind of diversity that is not going to make them happy. Does that make sense? So most problems, if not all problems, with lifestyle-related diseases are caused actually by excesses, not deficiencies. They go into this in detail in the pleasure trap. Everybody's worried about, their omega-3 and all this kind of stuff, but the reality is most people, if they're fat and sick, it's from excesses, not deficiencies. So that said, maybe you could switch it up a little bit. I agree with you. I like eating the same thing every day because I like what I eat. And there's a saying that what you eat today, you will crave tomorrow. You guys should see Kenny chowing down. It's adorable. So, maybe you could change.
I'm not crunching.
No, but there's nothing crunchy in it. Maybe you could change the kind of potato you eat. I tend to eat the murasaki the most, but I also do the Hana yams, and I also do Yukon Golds and Russets. Maybe you can change that. Maybe you could change the kind of starch, and maybe how about some winter squashes? Kabocha squash. If you like Japanese sweet potatoes because they're sweet and creamy, kabocha squash is another good one. And there's a whole slew of vegetables out there other than carrots. I tend to go to zucchini because it's just, I really like it, especially in the air fryer. So, that's a good question. I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Goldhammer again very soon as a part 2 because we had to cut the interview short because his wife called him. And I will definitely ask that question. But again, if you're eating enough calories from enough whole plant foods, what nutrients are you worried that you're missing? Because, iron. What exactly are you worried about? And almost everything can be tested in the blood or the stool. There's tests for all these deficiencies. I normally would say, well, just take a multivitamin, but that's not what I would. That's not what I would say. That's what some people would say. But it sounds like you're eating fairly healthy. I don't see any fruit in your diet. So, that's what I would say maybe is missing. You've got the starch and you've got the non-starchy vegetables. I'm not seeing greens and I'm not seeing fruit. So I would definitely, to this eating plan, I would add some, I don't see a salad. I'd add a large salad with some raw greens or eat some steamed greens, and I'd add some fruit. So if you are missing, that's where I think the missing is. All right? You got anything for me, Kenny, or I'll keep going down?
People are debating about which membership to get at Costco.
Oh yeah, just get the best one. The best one ends up paying for itself, and I end up getting so many hundreds of dollars back to shopping at the end of the year for sure. And by the way, I just recently started wearing reading glasses, but they have to be prescription, and driving glasses for at night. Great frames, great customer. They help pick them out for me. Like I don't know how I look in glasses until the glass part is in there. Yeah, Costco's the best. Free hearing test. Can't say enough good things about Costco. Brianna says, I don't understand what your beef is about oatmeal for breakfast. That's what all the plant-based doctors eat. So again, you probably are new to me, which a lot of people are, and so welcome. I don't have a problem with oatmeal for breakfast, and I'm not sure that is all the plant-based doctors eat because I know what they eat at True North because I see them, and they may eat some oats, but they're eating also salad and they're eating vegetables. I got a text, not a text, but one of the gals that's at UWL that's at True North right now said, Dr. Lim said to tell you he's eating vegetables for breakfast. So the thing is I don't have a problem with oatmeal if you are not a food addict and if you're at your ideal weight. But the problem with oatmeal is most people are not eating the oat groat, like Claudia said in the last question, which is the whole unprocessed grain. They're not even eating the steel cut oat, which is the cut broken grain, the second incarnation. Most people are eating rolled oats, which are cooked, because that's how come you can eat them raw. They're flattened, they're steamed, and they're basically just, one notch above eating flour, and they're very high glycemic and they enter the bloodstream quickly. You see, what I'm against is people eating dessert for breakfast. And people, except for one guy I know in Hartford, Connecticut named Harry, who's a type 1 diabetic who actually cooks his oatmeal in water and eats it plain. Everybody I know eats oatmeal with almond milk to make it sweeter, and then they have to put fruit in it. And they don't eat it savory, with the greens and the shiitake mushrooms and the garlic, like the recipes that I've given you. So they're basically continuing their food addiction, but in a milder form. So they're still not willing to give up that sweet taste first thing in the morning. And if you are a sugar addict, which most food addicts are, the problem is salt or sugar and salt, you want to start your day in a savory way. The sooner in the morning you activate that sweet taste, even with healthy things like fruit as part of your vegetable smoothie or just by itself, the more sugar you're going to crave throughout the day. You know, we talked about this before, a gal in UWL who came, a lot of people are at their ideal weight at UWL. They just come for the support or because they're food addicts who are able to be at their ideal weight. And she didn't understand why she had to eat vegetables for breakfast. Again, you don't have to, it's not a court-ordered program because she was at her ideal weight, but she wanted to try it just for 3 weeks just to see what all the hullabaloo was about. And she lost 3 pounds. The thin got thinner just by eating vegetables for breakfast. So again, I don't have a problem with oatmeal, but I have a problem that people can't not eat it. So to me, when you can't not do something, that's addiction. And so the people that are the oatmeal eaters, it's like they can't think of anything else to eat. What about beans for breakfast? Why does your starch have to be oatmeal? Yeah, then Dr. McDougall and his thin wife Mary, they're not food addicts, they eat oatmeal and fruit every day for breakfast. That's great. If I could, I would. But man, when I make Charles's oatmeal with the cinnamon and the apples, oh my God, it's like apple pie. It's like dessert.
Cake.
It's like cake. So see, it really is cake, Kenny, because the oats, which are practically flour anyway when they're rolled out, as the flour, and then the sweet fruit becomes the
Even
sugar.
if it's oat gross.
Right. And usually the fruit, by the way, that most people eat their oats with, it's always a banana. I never see it with, or grapes. It's always some kind of really sweet fruit. It's never like a green apple, is it? No, it's always the sweetest fruit.
Cherries and blueberries.
Yeah, cherries and berries. So again, I'm not against oatmeal, but I find that if you are a food addict, if you're not at your ideal weight, it's not the most preferred breakfast or second breakfast. All right, so Vera says, what do I think about digestive enzyme supplements? Is it okay to take them to reduce bloating? So again, not a doctor, so I can't tell you what's okay, but I would think that it's probably more important, instead of taking something that's a supplement or medication to reduce the bloating, is to find out the source of your bloating. And when I searched the medical literature for bloating when I was having it like 4 years ago unrelentlessly, there was something like 867 medical reasons that could cause bloating. So many people today have IBS, SIBO, all these things can be tested. There's theories about what causes them and how to treat them. Some people with medication, some people with, believe it or not, mindfulness. Maybe just a change of diet. Maybe what you're eating is causing the bloating. You know, vegetables vary greatly in their ability to produce gas. When I eat zucchini or cherry tomatoes, I don't get any bloating. When I eat broccoli, I do. So a lot of times you can fix that with diet. So I'm not saying they're not okay, but again, I would defer to the True North doctors. You can get consultations with all the medical doctors and the naturopaths there, less than $100, and you can get a free consult with Dr. Goldhammer at healthpromoting.com.
Julie Weber says she uses pinhead oats. What's that?
I don't know.
Never heard of that.
I don't know what that is. Maybe she could provide a link. So Meredith wants to know, is black coffee that bad? So again, it comes down to what Dr. Goldhammer says. Just because something is less bad doesn't mean it's good. When you say, is that bad? Bad for what? It depends what your goals are. So for me, I want to overcome all my addictions. I don't want to be dependent on a highly processed, toxic, central nervous system stimulant chemical just so that I can function. So, you know, is black coffee bad? Well, it's certainly better than starting your day with a beer, and it's certainly better than starting your day with like a frappuccino with dairy and sugar in it. So, you know, it really depends what your goals are. Are you saying, is it that bad for weight loss? Well, there is some research that I posted in one of these previous episodes that when you have caffeine in the morning, it causes you to crave sweets later on in the day. And again, I don't have an eidetic memory like Dr. McDougall. I cannot tell you what episode. I wish there was a way to archive this so I could, but I did share.
Usually no.
I did share that research that a little bit of caffeine in the morning like that can cause you to have sweet cravings, particularly in the afternoon. So I don't recommend coffee or caffeine. I know that we say SOFAs in UWL, SOFAs-free sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt, but it's also, if you really are doing the program as designed, there is no caffeine, even from green tea, and there's no chocolate. But where was it going to put the C? SCOFAs? It didn't, you know, I like the idea of sofas, get off the sofas, because it was also a metaphor for exercise. So I'm sure there's some marginal health benefits to coffee, but the way it's treated and processed and the way the workers are treated, to me, it's just bad news. And oh God, I mean, I don't know anybody that drinks coffee that doesn't have horrible teeth, unless you really do like the teeth whitening. And that's one of the reasons, you know, people say, why are your teeth so good? I don't drink coffee, I don't drink alcohol, I don't drink soda. And I did have them whitened once in the year 2000, but that, you know, where you wear those trays, but I lost them. So, yeah, I mean, it's not that bad, I suppose, but it's not that good, you know? And it's a drug, and the question is, why do you need a drug? So Sarah wants to know how one should address the mental health component of our addiction. And she likes the interviews I do that tackle the science of the addicted brain. What about fleshing it out with a professional? Do I suggest therapy, eating disorder group sessions? Is there a place in UWL where we address these? So, we don't specifically, there's not like a place, like when we have our subscription boards, there will be like a specific category where we can just talk about this for people, like people that have anorexia, people that have bulimia, people that have both, things like that. So I suggest therapy for almost everybody that's breathing. Most human beings seem to need it. And by therapy, I don't mean like going to the same psychiatrist for 10 years as some people do and never get better. I mean like having 1 or 2 sessions with Dr. Doug Lyle, like cognitive behavioral therapy that really helps with this. He's an expert on this because they've had over 30,000 patients at True North where he's the psychologist, and many more also at the McDougall program. I definitely do not recommend eating disorder experts because they will steer you away. I mean, if you went to an eating disorder expert and told them about this diet, they would say that I'm orthorexic and or anorexic and that you should run as far away as you can, because they are not skilled in treating people on plant-based diets. They don't understand calorie density. They'll get you right back into the weighing and measuring, gotta have oil thing. So I definitely would not go to an eating disorder specialist unless one is vegan, but as far as I know there isn't one. I would definitely go to Dr. Doug Lyle. It's $75 for a session. You can book, he has 12 openings a week for our people. You book it at esteemdynamics.org. If you can't afford the $75, he does a radio show every Wednesday at 8:30. You can call in for free and ask your question, but that's what I would do. If you prefer a female, then the only other person I recommend is Dr. Carrie Saunders. Her website is drfood.org, but she's going to be a little bit more than $75. She's $150, but she's wonderful. Dr. Lyle's actually $150 as well, an hour, but he's willing to do a half-hour session for people for which $150 would be a hardship.
And right here, Christine Bummer's.
Bummer.
She's plugging your mastery group.
Oh, yeah.
So also will help these things.
Yes,
because everyone in the group, it's a whole group exercise working together. So
thank you.
See her notes below in the notes.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you. Yeah, she's a UWL rock star. So, she's saying that her therapist moved in September, which I let be an excuse to relapse before joining UWL. Addicts will use anything as an excuse to relapse, and we're going to be talking about this on the next live interview I do with Dr. Lyle. We didn't get to it because my sound wasn't working so good yesterday, and plus we had already gotten to 53 minutes, and you can't ask Dr. Lyle a new question and expect him to finish in 7 minutes, and I wanted to respect his time. But what was it that Heather Goodwin says? Excuses and results don't live on the same street. Addicts, or just people in general, use everything as an excuse to relapse. And again, I'm not diminishing the things in our life in the present or the past that are difficult, but that's what everybody says is the reason that they're eating crap food today. And when I interview Dr. Lyle very soon on this, you'll realize, or you'll disagree with him, you're entitled to that, but he's never been wrong, that isn't the reason you do that. It isn't because your dog died, or because your boss yelled at you, or because your kid didn't get accepted to their first choice college. That's what you say is the reason, but that really is not the reason used to relapse. Because when you say relapse, that generally means going back to eating something off plan, usually sugar, flour, alcohol, things like that. And then Dr. Lyle would say, so that's the only time you ever ate these things, right? No. So watch some of the interviews I did with him where he talks about this whole idea about emotional eating. Is it real? But addicts will use everything as an excuse to relapse, right?
Christy Collin has a good question here.
All right.
As you said, Kristen is a rock star.
Yeah.
Christy asks, how do I become a rock star?
Oh, well, how do you become a rock star? I think, for me, the rock star isn't necessarily the people that have lost all their weight. It's the people that are mentoring and guiding other people. Now, it just so happens that the people that I consider rock stars now have pretty much lost all the weight they wanted to lose. And there's so many of them now, from Shada to Kristen to BJ to Heather. And Caroline, please, if I didn't say your name, that doesn't mean you're not a rock star. But there's so many now that I can't, Beth, that I can't, when you put me on the spot
Jenny
like that.
Yesterday?
Jenny
God.
Funderbuck? Oh my
God.
God. There's so many. But to me, a rock star isn't just somebody that's that's gotten what they want for themselves, but that's sharing it with the world. And so these particular people that I mentioned, that not that everybody has to have a blog or a YouTube channel or teach cooking, but they are going out in the world and sharing this information, enlightening other people and helping other people achieve their ideal body weight. And so to me, for me, that's what a rock star is. Because if you watched last week's Weight Loss Wednesday, you know how I feel about volunteer work, the rent you pay for the privilege of living on earth. And so the people that I'm calling rock stars are the ones that are helping other people. So for me, that's what it means. A lot of people have lost their all the weight. That doesn't mean they're not rock stars, but so that's anyway. So that's how I look at it.
We briefly talked about mastery, but Claudia Cooper asks, what is mastery?
It's a 3 months intensive, very small group coaching program that John Pierre and I run so far only once a year. You need to be in ultimate weight loss first. It's so much easier, I think, if you have the basics down. Sometimes people just join and then go into that. It's a hand, like we hold your hand, we do very intense bi-weekly interactions, and it's a smaller group, and you get my cell phone number and you can text me, and again, it's usually goes right after Vegas to the end of the year, because most people seem to have the most difficulty from Halloween to January to New Year's Day. A lot of people ask me if I'll do some dog food on this show. I might. The thing is the dog biscuits that I make, well, they have gluten and they have whole wheat flour, which isn't going to be a problem for me because I can't eat that anyway, and they have oil. When you bake stuff, though, it takes the whole episode. So in the meantime, what I wanted to show you is there's a great book, and you can go to my YouTube page. Please subscribe while you're there. Happy Healthy Pooch by Sanai Suzuki, also written by Dr. Armighty May, the vegan vet, if you have questions on whether or not you can feed your pet plant-based diets, and she has lots of great recipes in here. And then there's another vegan dog biscuit book called Cruelty-Free Recipe for Canines. So in the meantime, if you want to make your furry friend that, you can. So I want to show you guys, somebody posted today on the UWL Facebook page something about Dr. Goldhammer saying suck it up, and he does say that, and I even have a little headband if you want to know.
Can't wait to see him wear it.
Well, I don't know if he wears it so much. Okay, so this is a rather long question, and it's okay. It's 3 questions from new member Felicia, and thank you for sending it. So it's long in that I'm not going to read everything she said, but I'm going to summarize some of the things she said. So the first thing is, she says she wanted me to provide feedback before she jumps in at 100% on Monday, April 2nd. So why, if you wrote this email on Tuesday, March 27th, why are you waiting to April 2nd to start? Is it because it's a Monday? Because we're starting, well, we already started on my birthday, the 40 days of abstinence to correspond with the same amount of time as Lent. But whether we're in UWL or not, we are doing 30 days. This is what I asked for my birthday. Not that I didn't appreciate the wonderful presents, but what I asked for my birthday, and even Heather Goodwin is going to give it to me. She posted a YouTube on her page, Butterfly Effect. I asked for 30 days of abstinence, April 1st to April 30th. And abstinence, don't get all confused in your head, abstinence, compliance, adherence. Abstinence means SOFAs, sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt. I'm not going to worry about the caffeine, because I know that people that drink coffee, it's not an easy thing to get off caffeine. I mean, some people do it cold tofurkey, and then they'll have that headache for a few days. It will go away. I mean, caffeine's a drug. It's not a food. It's a central nervous system stimulant. It impairs your ability to get deep sleep. Even 17 hours later is the half-life of caffeine. So even though I don't want people to use those drugs, we're talking about the SOFAs, sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, and salt. A lot of people, well, and if you're smoking, that's got to be at the top of your list. And please refer to yesterday's video with Dr. Lyle about why you think smoking is keeping you thin. It's not. If that's true, there wouldn't be anybody fat that smoked. So that's what we're pledging to do, whether in UWL or not. You can do that, and I suggest you start now, not on April 2nd. And I'd like to know why you're waiting to start on that particular day. So if you want to join along with us, basically you're just pledging for 30 days. Well, we're assuming that everybody already is on a whole food plant-based diet or plant-based diet, so we're pledging not to eat any of the SOFAs, any of the sugars, real or faked, 0 calorie or caloric, oil in any of their forms, flour in any of their forms, alcohol, and salt. And as far as alcohol is concerned, I hope you saw Dr. Greger's video today. Just proven everything I've been saying for years, that alcohol is linked to every single cancer, and the reason doctors recommend it is because they themselves drink it, and because a lot of times they drink it even when they're on call and working. So watch Dr. Greger's video. So all the sofas, that's what we're doing the month of April. If you want to join UWL now, be with the group, you can, or just do it from the privacy of your home. So, okay, let me find your question. Oh, so I'm gonna take the last one first because it's easier. So you get these online videos when you join the program, and she says there's a mention of a 30-day DVD where you and JP give daily advice for participants to stay motivated. It's not daily advice for participants to stay motivated, it's daily recipes and exercises. It's the first DVD we did. It's out of print. Hopefully it'll come back. But if you watch some of these previous Weight Loss Wednesdays, JP does demonstrate a lot of the exercises in there, so that it's not a daily motivational thing. Well, maybe it is motivational, but the idea is before we ran this program, before 2012, we ran a program called the Unprocessed 30-Day Challenge that was a little bit more lenient. And in this DVD, each day I showed you a recipe and he showed you a different exercise with things you could do around the house, like cans of beans. If there's enough interest and enough people would buy it, we probably could get it printed up again, but it is kind of expensive now to print DVDs if you don't print a certain amount, and also to ship them. Maybe there's a way we could do it as a download. We'll see, but I know that when we get our subscription boards, that will be on their part as content. So, okay. But come to the boards every day, and we hope to be able to motivate you that way and give you daily advice if you should need it. So, and she said, in those DVDs, JP mentions we should dedicate one day where we eat only fruits and veggies without starches. The goal would be eventually have this day meal be 70% veggies and 30% fruits. Is that correct? So that is the one thing JP and I still disagree on. And we've taken it out of the new program and use it only in the mastery program at an advanced level. And we're only using it for more of a mental technique, not a weight loss technique, because most people that come to UWL have a history of discordant eating. Maybe they're not full-blown bulimics or anorexia, or don't even have that in their past, but they have a lifelong history of restricting. And so the fruit and vegetable day, it's a great reset. So for somebody that maybe binged or relapsed, the best thing to do would just not to eat until you're hungry, and then make the first meal vegetables. But by having a little bit of fruit in there, it does make it more palatable and easy, because most people aren't going to just eat vegetables at 100 calories a pound. That's going to be a very low calorically dense day. So the thing is it's a great reset to do. It's very difficult for a lot of people to do, because without the starch, there really is no satisfaction. There's no satiation, and you have to eat so much more in terms of volume if all you're doing is getting your foods from fruits and vegetables with an average caloric density of 300 calories per pound or less. And people already are complaining, even with the starches, that there's too much food in UWL. They can't eat it all. So if you take the starch away and are just doing fruits and vegetables, it can be really hard. So I don't recommend these days for anybody with a history of anorexia, bulimia, binging, or restricting. I find them very difficult to do. I only did it once because I just, JP said, well, you gotta try it. So I didn't like it. I never was able to do it until I developed my barefoot salad dressing, which was so good that I was able actually to do it one day. But man, it was tough, because in order to get enough calories for me with my activity level, eating that low on the caloric density chart, I had to eat so much, and I was just so uncomfortable. So I don't recommend it, because when I do this next interview, Dr. Lau, when we talk about binging is always from restricting, and it's always restricting the starch. So I don't recommend it this early in your recovery. It's not a weight loss technique. It is a good technique for resetting, but again, you could just eat UWL to reset too. If you take away the sofas and eat our diet, that's also a great reset. So she's given me her meals for 3 days, which I appreciate, and they look very good to me. So her question is about sequencing. She says, after eating 1 pound, she says, I started eating, I've been adapting pieces of your program, so it's not such a shock when I start on April 2nd. Just jump in. It's not going to be a shock. You've already, you've got the information. I started eating VFB, that's vegetables for breakfast, and realized my true hunger does not kick in until 11 to 11:30 p.m. And that's so true, Felicia, that most people, there are some people that wake up hungry, but that's very few and far between. Most people, if they're honest, really aren't that hungry in the morning, but they've been conditioned to eat breakfast. They've been brought up to believe that it's the most important meal of the day, and it's not. Especially if you do intermittent fasting, it's way better to wait until lunch. But the thing is, it's always better to wait until you're hungry to eat, because the truth is, no one, regardless of their dietary style, could ever have become overweight or obese unless they ate outside the demands of true hunger. So waiting until you're hungry to eat is a great thing. And my litmus test, if I'm hungry, is if I'm not hungry enough to eat vegetables, I'm not hungry. Because oatmeal and fruits, that's cake, that's dessert. It's always going to be appetizing. So then she says, when I'm hungry for lunch around 1, do I start with a big bowl of salad, move to a 1 pound of steamed veggies or soup, and then finish with my starch, such as a compliant loaded potato? Since I'm only eating VFB, I'm not sure about the sequence. I feel like I will probably get full from the first 2 courses before making it to the starch, but I'm sure it's okay. So here's the thing. It's not that you can only eat veggies and never eat veggies with starch, but I need to know a little bit more about like how much weight you're trying to lose, how much weight you have to lose. Because the truth is, when you have a lot of fat on your body, you can go a lot longer without eating. And by long, I don't mean like days, but I mean like hours, because your body is eating its own fat, which is what you want. That's how you lose weight. And so the thing is if somebody says to me, look, I'm only going to eat vegetables for breakfast, I can eat it with some starch. I'm going to say, good, then eat it with some starch. I'd rather have you do that than, go to McDonald's or eat a Cinnabon. But we find that if people don't eat some of their vegetables first, they're just not going to get enough in. Because the truth is when you eat foods of a higher caloric density, it's really hard to go back to foods of a lower caloric density. So when I get off my spin bike, my steamed zucchini tastes like manna from heaven. But if I go eat that Japanese sweet potato first, you can bet I'm not going back to the zucchini. It's not going to happen. So the way Dr. Goldhammer recommends sequencing and the way it's set up at True North, the way we do it, is you have a large raw salad first. That's 100 calories per pound. And then you have a large serving of steamed greens or steamed vegetables, preferably with some greens in it. That's about 200 calories a pound. So that you've eaten about 2 pounds of food. You're getting pretty full. Your stretch receptors are starting to be activated, but you really don't have enough satiety for the whole meal. And then with what room you have left, maybe you'll have some rice and beans or some potatoes or squash or sweet potatoes. So that's how we recommend it. This is where everybody has to find their own personal groove between the starch and the veggies, because today was a weird day because of the DMV, and I didn't start eating the starch until 3:30 when Kenny got here, because I was so hungry because of the way my day was structured. All I had was 4 pounds of vegetables. And while it seems like it's a lot of food, that's like 400 calories. I was really, really hungry. I could not eat one more vegetable to save my life. I don't normally do it that way. This was just an unusual day. So you will find your groove, like that movie Stella Got Her Groove. You will find your groove. But sequencing turns out to be a great thing, not just for weight loss, but for health, because if you don't sequence it, like I said, like for instance, my husband eats vegetables for breakfast every day, but here's his dinner. So I already made it because I have to go to school. This is an organic russet potato with organic corn and organic salt-free black beans. And then when he gets home, he's going to put on some salsa and some guacamole and some jalapeno peppers. And the whole meal will maybe be 400 calories, and he's going to be full. And he's going to say he doesn't have room for his salad or his vegetables, but believe me, he's going to have the cherry cobbler for dessert, even though he doesn't have room. You can't go back and then eat your vegetables and salad. At least I can't, and I know very few people who can. So when you eat foods in order of increasing caloric density, you actually enjoy them more, because foods of a higher caloric density release more dopamine in the brain. So that's the other reason we do it, for maximum enjoyment of the food, and just to make sure that we're getting in enough vegetables. Dr. Goldhammer's always said, show me a fat person, I'll show you a person who's unwilling to eat enough raw salad and steamed vegetables. So these are unlimited, the salad and the vegetables in every diet. Well, not every diet, not if you go to a food addiction program where you have to weigh and measure out 7 ounces, but every sane dietary style. They're Weight Watchers, they're 0 points, I guess, or whatever. Vegetables, at least, if not fruits and vegetables, should be unlimited. And by eating them first, you're filling up a lot of the room in your stomach with this high fiber, high nutrient, high water food, so that you are less hungry, so that when you do get the starch, you really appreciate it. I mean, if you find that you're so full from vegetables that you're not eating any starch and don't have enough calories or energy to function in your day, then we have to do something about it. But again, depending on how much fat you have on your body, you have, most people, even thin people. We had the lady at True North right now that I mean, she was thinner than me, and she still fasted for a disease for, like, I think, was it 16 days. Even very thin people still have reserves. It's hard to believe but we do. So I hope I answered your question, Felicia. If not, ask it again on the boards now that I have your information, and I'll clarify it more. Thanks.
Well, Betty Morgan wants to let you know she's watching from True North right now.
True North is where I'd rather be.
Samuel Felicia.
So Esprit is the wife for me. That is Felicia, who I just answered.
Samuel Felicia, she wants to let you know she's here. And then lastly, someone wants to know, as we end this, where do I find out more about joining UWL?
Well, you go to my website, which is eatunprocessed.com, and there is a tab that says Ultimate Weight Loss, where there's some really cool videos that you can watch. I think there's 4 of them that kind of explain what this program is. So just very briefly, because I know we're almost out of time, is UWL is, as far as I know, the only 100% plant-based or vegan program that deals with food addiction. So basically what it is we take the best of what we know from the science of calorie density, which isn't counting calories, it's completely different, and we marry it with everything I've learned from all the food addiction experts to create the program. So we have like these intersecting circles of people in Ultimate Weight Loss. We have many people that are overweight or obese, and then we have not as many, but some people that are food addicted but not overweight or obese, and then there's kind of an intersection of these 2 circles, and we deal with both, because the truth is when you eat in the dietary style to reverse your food addiction, which is to take out the addictive foods like the sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, and salt, guess what? The weight normalizes. And so I just need to say this, Kenny, about, because I said I was going to say it and I didn't because I got sidetracked with the questions about the nuts and the dates. So again, I personally don't eat nuts. For me, they are what we call a trigger food. They cause me to exponentially overeat other food, because there's something with my brain with these high-fat foods like the nuts and the seeds and avocado, even if it comes from flax or chia, there's something like in my brain that just senses. People can vary in their sensitivity to the high-fat foods, and they excite me way too much. Now, I don't have a problem with dried fruit. I don't eat dried fruit. I mean, if it's in a recipe, like the cram muffin where there's 2 teaspoons per muffin, or my apple pie rice pudding, I don't seem to have a problem with dried fruit. Dried fruit is not something that I ever ate in any time of my life unless it was in a recipe. So we could have dried apricots here all day. It's on dates. Actually, by the way, I still don't keep them in my house. I go out and buy them for the recipe when I'm going to use them, because I don't want to take a chance. But when I was eating the high-fat foods like the nut butters, boy, a date with almond butter in it, or a date with a walnut in it, yeah. So for me, it's the combination of sugar and fat that really is the problem that makes me go nuts. Nuts in themselves, if it was pistachios or macadamias, that is a real big problem. I've been known to eat an entire pound bag, which is like, that's 3,200 calories and 400 grams of fat, some ridiculous amount. So I steer clear of them. But when I'm under medical supervision at True North with Dr. Goldhammer, once a year I can have a small piece. But again, I don't like that, because all I do is keep thinking about it. But the reason I wanted to do this recipe is because I see the number of people that are relapsing, and that are probably going to relapse because of Easter. And I would much rather have them do one of the 40 dessert recipes in this book that are made from dates and nuts, that are of a higher caloric density, which means, yeah, you might not lose weight eating them, but you're not going to disrupt and dysregulate your brain chemistry like when you're eating sugar and flour. If it's a problem for you, if you really can't moderate the use of them, then don't use them at all. But if you're relapsing, you're not relapsing on my cherry cobbler. I know that for a fact. So that's where the judicious use of these things can be beneficial. I think if somebody is going to relapse, instead of going back to McDonald's, which some people do, or sugar and flour, just make the recipes in this book. You will be fine. You probably will not gain weight. You may not lose weight eating some of the richer recipes, but you'll be a lot better off, in my opinion, and you'll have the calm, stable brain than if you go back to sugar flour. So whether you're in UWL or not, please consider joining me to help honor my birthday with 30 days of abstinence from all sofas beginning on April 1st.
Did you want to mention something about Vegas as we end the show now?
Sure, I just want to mention that the rooms are still available. Somebody's been saying that they're not, but you need to have there's a conference number. Teresa knows it. We have a special group for people going to Vegas. I can still offer you a $100 discount. We have Dr. Neil Barnard is our keynote speaker, and Dr. Rosanna Oliveira, who knows a lot about fat.
Does that discount end for the end of this month?
I think we might extend it a little more, but
Okay.
but we're getting close to selling out, guys. So if you are interested in coming, please come. Kenny will be there.
And what is that event called again? And what's it
called,
about?
it's on my website under stores, called the Live Ultimate Weight Loss Conference. And it says 2-day conference on the website. Truth is, it's a 3-day conference now because Dr. Doug Lyle is adding a bonus day on Friday, August 31st at 2 p.m. He's doing a 2-hour Q&A session. So
Sounds good.
terrific. So I was going to say yeah. So what I wanted to show you is I purposely didn't take all the filling out because I want to show you that if you just leave it, see how thick it gets because of the chia seeds, but it would get thicker in the refrigerator. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to invite you to come back to this page tomorrow at noon when I'm doing a live Tupperware party with Aunt Cassie. And as always, all proceeds get donated because I don't need one more piece of Tupperware. So make sure you get on my website so that you know the minute this comes out and you can order it. And please continue to submit your questions to eatunprocessed.com. And thank you, Kenny, for this wonderful present. And thank you guys so much for watching another episode 69 of Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ, and I truly believe you can have both the health and the body you so richly deserve. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.
That's a wrap.